We do have Richie Bennis on the show a little bit later on, so whenever we have these legends of the game on, I tend to kind of go back and look at the archive and see what was being written in the newspapers at the time, and you always get sucked into a wormhole. I'm glad I only discovered it this morning, actually, just going back to the newspapers in 1973, because it's very entertaining stuff. We may as well put some of this stuff up on the screen now. So this was the Sunday Independent we're going to start with, the day of the All-Ireland final in 1973, which is, of course, the last time Kilkenny, or the last time Limerick won an All-Ireland. They beat Kilkenny in that All-Ireland. So, as you can see there, they were being written off. Limerick must be worried, says Cork star Tony Maher, and we can take a closer look at that. Tony Maher, Cork's powerful corner-back, who started against Kilkenny in the finals of 69 and 72. Says, like most people outside Kilkenny, I'd like to see Limerick win after all those years waiting, but I must say I expect Kilkenny to win by 4 or 5 points. Kilkenny have the right men in the right places, the places where games are won and lost. Their half-back line will, in my opinion, dominate the proceedings. I expect Pat Henderson to lord it in the middle, and on his wings he has 2 fine hurlers in Pat Lawler and Brian Cody. Up front, they again have their power in the middle, with Pat Delaney to lead the way, especially now that he is captain. And of course, Pat Delaney got marked out of the game by Eamon Cregan, written off by the media, so he was Cregan, and Limerick winning comprehensively on the day. We'll be speaking to Bennis, as I said, later on.
But he scored 10 points in the final.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, once I started looking at this sort of stuff, my eye gravitated towards different parts of the paper, and you might have picked up on it there when we showed you the overview of the page there. Are you bald or wearing a hairpiece, asks this ad. Did you pay £100 or £200 but never again? Hand knotted toupees with skin parting for only £26.50. Hair implanted toupees for only £55.75. All at immediate delivery and no callers or salesmen. Just one way, we have slashed costs. It is not better than the one you are wearing. Return it if it isn't. The classic toupee, 60 Dublin Road, Belfast. The other ad that caught my eye was this one on the same page as well. The Blackthorn Unbeatable, a classic boot. It wouldn't go astray in a pitch today. Boots that set the pace in sport today. Hard-hitting design, real strength and comfort, built-in nylon soles and interchangeable screw-in studs. That's Blackthorn. Blackthorn football boots getting the advertising.
Built-in nylon soles. I mean,
it's
nice.
Fantastic. Look at this ad then. This is on like page 3 of the Sunday Independent that morning. Muscles make a man. Build steel-like arms, build deeper chest, build broader shoulders, build powerful legs. If you thought it would take years to develop a He-Man body like this, here's news that will astound you. The revolutionary 2 bodybuilder is designed to give you the kind of physique you've always wanted in a matter of weeks. All you got to do is sign up and send this to Bullworker Service, Depot 050 149 Lower Drumcondra Road. I'm sure that company is still in operation. I also had to have a look at the Agony Aunt column from this Sunday Independent. This is the last thing from the Sunday Independent from 1973. So, question: for the past 6 years, I've been dating a man who is 10 years my senior. I love him and he has told me that he loves me. He even persuaded me to allow intimacies I would never have allowed to anybody else. Woo. He quieted my misgivings by saying we were as good as engaged. The problem is I can't get him to set a date for the wedding. 3 years ago, when the talk of marriage first came up, his excuse was that I was too young and I mightn't know my own mind. I was then 20, he was 30. This is patronising as hell. I fully expected the ring for my 21st birthday, but again I was disappointed. The excuse this time being that he was thinking of changing jobs. So it goes on a little bit, and then he says, during the past 2 years we have quarrelled and parted on a number of occasions, but each time we've come back together. I know he dated other girls when we were apart, but he said it was just to have something to do. My mother has never liked him from the start. And then the answer, the Agony Aunt, being supportive as always. If your boyfriend doesn't realise after 6 years that you love him, there is very little hope that he ever will. From your letter, it is obvious that marriage is exceedingly remote in his plans. His traits are those of a lover, not a man who seriously wants to settle down to family life.
There's a great line as well. Mothers can be quite perceptive about men.
Oh yes, mothers can be quite perceptive about men. You could do worse than take her advice and cut adrift from your boyfriend. If he really loves you, the risk of losing you may jolt him into marriage. The Sunday Independent giving brilliant advice as always in the Agony Aunt column. The day after then, of course, just a couple of looks at the sports pages there. This is the front page of the Irish Independent, which was also the day after the RUC men's cars were raped by gunfire in Mayo, ambush. The story there, that was what was leading the way. The Irish cholera story was also leading the way in the Irish news agenda. But you can also make out there a moment worth waiting for, and then inside in the actual sports section, Limerick Supreme, the goal that turned the tide. Then we have a look at the Cork Examiner then from the next day. Limerick's Day of Joy. We won, we won, we won, says the right-hand side there. Great photographs. And then finally, the Irish Press sports section. Pictorial focus on the final and thrilling finish. Superb O'Brien clinches victory for Kilkenny, which obviously wasn't in that one. That must have been in the minors, beating Galway, I think, on that occasion. It's interesting. I couldn't actually find a match report in the Irish Press from the game. Maybe it wasn't something that they indulged in at the time. John Giles had a good column as well in the Sunday Independent, and Billy Bremner had scored a goal the previous day as well. So there was kind of a bit of synchronicity about it all.